Jules and Richard with you, and joined live in studio by Marcus Chambers, Winnipeg City Councillor representing parts of St. Norbert and then a little bit further to the east as well. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Julie and Richard, for having me on your show this afternoon.
The Lemay lands in St. Norbert are privately owned. People have loved the area for years, and the developer said, listen, we want to start working on this. And residents said, hold the phone, we'd like to keep it as a forest. So this issue has come to City Hall. What are the next steps on this file?
Well, I've tabled a motion at the Riel Community Committee this morning, and we heard from the community in terms of delegations that appeared before the Riel Community Committee, and, heard their interest in preserving these 22 acres of forested land. So the planner for Toshal Developments was there, and he expressed their interest in developing those lands, but it's all part of having that community consultation as well. There is no formal application before council right now, but it's still about having those consultations to come out with a win-win for both sides.
John Winfrey told us earlier this week that they're looking to either sell or some sort of land swap. We don't really do land swaps anymore following the fire hall fiasco and some other issues that happened 10 and 5 years ago. But at this committee meeting, your colleague from St. Vital, Brian Mays, decided to slip in the Sumka lands here. You represent that part of the area now, but he used to represent that area.
That's 62 acres.
And that's all forested land. So now what comes forward is if we're going to buy the Lemay Forest lands, we're also going to buy the Sumka lands. Does that make your job harder or easier?
Well, I mean, it's something that we discussed at Riel Community Committee today as well, and being visionary and perhaps getting an inventory of all of the forested lands that are privately owned and looking at how we preserve those lands. So I'm not upset or disappointed that Councillor Mays included Sumka lands. He's been working on that since he was the area councillor, and now that I've taken that over, it's important to me as well. I know that the provincial government gave the Manitoba Habitat and Conservation Corporation money for the purchase of Sumka Gardens or Sumka lands, but it's not under the threat of development. So perhaps looking at those lands that are under development and seeing that as a much higher priority in terms of purchasing those lands.
And I think a lot of Winnipeggers would say, listen, Councillor, it's a laudable proposition to buy more forest lands, but as a city, you're under pressure to hold the line on the budget. We need, we need sewers, we need water, we need snow to be plowed. Can we afford it?
Well, and that's why my motion specifically talks about creating partnerships, working with other levels of government, including the provincial government, who have talked about reconciliation. And, you look at these lands and there are Indigenous groups that are using these lands for ceremonial purposes. We recognize that the Métis have a significant investment in this area as well, as it's the area where Manitoba entered Confederation. So, again, working with all levels of government, working with all different stakeholders, to find partnerships that we can jointly buy this land and turn it over to the city of Winnipeg.
Are the feds on board? You got Terry Duguid?
I had a conversation with Terry Duguid last night. He and Billy Cross met with the members of the Coalition for Lemay Forest and had robust conversations. Terry himself said he's going to look into what is available through the federal government and perhaps be one of the partners in purchasing these lands.
What could the price tag be?
As a matter of fact, in terms of the motion that was tabled this morning, $7,500 will be used from my land dedication reserve fund to get an appraisal of those lands so that we know what we're up against in terms of those costs.
Marcus Chambers, Winnipeg City Councillor, thank you so very much for popping in today.
Thank you. This is an important issue, and it deserves the airtime.
Richard and Julie with you on 680 CJOB in 5 minutes on